Alright, moving on to next boss. What boss was next? Spellblade. Well, I guess after Spellblade Oriole, you have a choice of where you want to go. We are going to go to Krosus. Krosus is a really cool, simple, fun encounter. Right? Do I have Krosus here? Yeah, I'm going to go to Krosus just because that's what I had in my own little guide. Krosus is a fun one. I guess it's one of our kills. I initially had a mythic video, but Midgets found me a video of mine. I'm so glad I have these videos. Alright, so Krosus is like the boss in Ulduar. Remember the one that has no legs? It's a fairly single target encounter, right? Like Ursock is your better DPS check encounter. Here at the start for this one has a couple of really cool abilities, some really easy ones. It's not that particularly difficult. This is one of the easiest encounters in the instance. It is one of the later encounters, but it'll probably be really punishing in terms of tuning. Yeah, Kolagarn, thank you. Kolagarn is the one I meant. So again, you always link bosses. Whenever you're explaining these bosses or abilities to your guildies, try to use analogies or links to other bosses. Okay. So let's go this way. So we're going to move to Kolagarn. Yeah, single target boss fight. Essentially, you're going to have the raid into two clumps. You'll have a ranged clump and a melee clump. You sort of see us together there. There we are stacked on orange, on Roshi, and then there's a melee clump as well. Tanks are on either side doing their own little thing there. Now, the first ability is fantastic. It's awesome. It's called Fell Beam, right? It's a big Kamehameha from one of his arms. You're dodging left and right. So what's really important here is using a very central position, right? You want to minimize movement, maximize damage. The more you're casting, great. By moving more, you're casting less. So right now, if I was on the far left, I'd have to go to the right side, move a lot more. But because I'm in a very central position, I only need a few steps to the right to dodge his big Fell Beam. The beams will kill you. Then a couple steps, and that's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to run that far. That's Fell Beam. That's one of his abilities. Super easy to dodge. Your weak aura, or the weak auras, thanks to Fibrilo here, do say go right or go left. Read your weak auras. Or see which hand is glowing and you'll be able to dodge it. Really fun encounter. Alright, next one here is another beam, so just a couple steps to the left. See, some of these guys are running too far to the left. You're cutting into your DPS time, right? Don't obviously, ride that line, but go slightly outside that line to maximize how much damage and healing you're able to do. There's another beam. And next ability, so beam is the one big one. The next one that happens is a slam. All right, so if you can sort of see there are two brown circles, brown balls. The tanks need to stand into those brown circles, and nobody but the tank. Basically, he's going to slam the entire raid. When he slams, the entire raid takes damage. However, if two tanks or two people are standing in those brown circles, the raid takes less damage because you are absorbing you're absorbing his fists with your own, head. So we see Psycho Mantis there, one of our old druids. He's standing on the left one, and on the right side, I believe, is Towley, the blue marker. So they're standing in that. Melee, do not stand in this. It'll kill you. So there's the first slam. And each time he slams, it is raid-wide damage. After 3 slams, he breaks a part of the bridge. So this is one of those fights. It's like Gwarm. It's a DPS check, but you'll also be moving. Next ability here is Burning Pitches. Now, what we did is we assigned certain people different sections of the room. So the melee were responsible for the left and right sections. We have groups sorted out right now. If you look at our groups, I think it was. Yeah, Group 1 was on the left side somewhere, Group 2 was on the right side, Group 3 was on the back left, and Group 4 was on the back right, because of speed boost and able to get to these. You have to soak these green balls. These green balls are very, very important to soak, because if you don't, then elementals will spawn. And elementals means you're spending more time on elementals than DPSing the boss. So focus on the mechanic first before you're doing your own thing. So I'm going to stand in this one. Well, too many of us are standing in this one. And we covered them all. Oh, we missed one in the back there. So it spawns a Burning Ember. These Burning Embers are shooting like Fell Bursts, but it is interruptible. I believe they were stunnable, and you just murder them, right? So the range in the back there, it makes no sense for a melee to run all the way back and kill that Burning Ember. Range kill it, right? Really simple to do. And then again, the fell beams are happening. Where's my next orb of destruction? Yeah, and we're straddling the middle line here to minimize movement. Here comes slam number 2. Brown circles. Melee run out of them. Tanks stand in them. And he takes some damage. Now, if tanks were not to stand in there, the raid takes like 5 million damage and you're pretty much going to die. So it is important for tanks to stand in that. Yeah, there's my heals. Alright, Orb of Destruction is the final ability of this fight. Like, it's a very simple fight. Orb of Destruction targets a player, melee, ranged, healer, whatever, non-tank, and it explodes on the raid. It is unavoidable damage. The one thing you can avoid is how much damage you take from it. So if Orb of Destruction is on you, you can see there it's on Valkyrie, who has all that funny language. You run as far back as you can. So gateways are great, speed boosts are great, whatever you can to get the hell out. There. He takes his gateway and he runs all the way back. Watch raid-wide damage. So big orb comes down and does raid-wide damage. But because we're so far away, well, we take less damage. But that gets more complicated later on. So here comes a beam again, a couple steps to the left. Not too far. And we're safe. Alright, now watch. The weak aura says bridge is breaking. You can already see cracks. So every time he slams his hands down, he starts creating more cracks in that bridge. After 3, so here comes the next slam number 3, the bridge is going to break. If you are standing here, you are going to die. You cannot swim. So the bridge is now broken, and now we have less room to contend with. Which means, well, it'll be easier to soak those little puddles, the burning ember puddles. However, the Orb of Destruction damage, because we have less room to move, well, it'll be a lot harder to do. So we'll take more damage. So here's the beam, really simple, dodge it, and back to the middle. Here comes Orb of Destruction, so he runs out, but again, that was on one of our mages there, but because there's less room now, right, because we have such a smaller bridge, we'll take more damage from that orb. That was on Firemancer, so he blinked out, which was good. So here comes slam number 1, those are the brown circles. And Orb of Destruction, as well as beams. So here comes the fell beam, go left. Again, these beams will kill you. So move. You have Path of Frost. There's burning pitches. So again, less room. Right? So it'd be easier to dodge or to soak these. So we missed one. There's a burning ember. I stunned it. Right? Completely stunnable. Murder them before they start casting. There comes slam number 2. Right? So it's more and more damage. And now we have fell beams coming up. So even the tank should be dodging these fell beams. You see the bear move? The bear should be moving as well. So don't get hit by any of these beams. They will just absolutely murder you. Super avoidable. Just see which way it's moving. Or as a raid leader, you can call, hey, move to left, right? That makes it a lot easier. If you're using boss modes like VEM, again, they will also say, hey, move left or move right. There's Orb of Destruction. We'll take more and more damage. And the bridge is going to break. So you can see the cracks already forming on the bridge. Right in front of me. Here comes a slam. Everybody's running. Run, run, run. And now we have a very small bridge. And so same thing, rinse and repeat until the bridge is eventually gone and you no longer have a bridge. The Berserk on this is 5 minutes, I believe. So he breaks this chunk of bridge and then the last one and that's it. But we killed it on this one, so whatever. Between, normal, heroic, mythic, not many changes. On mythic, the little elementals, there's way more of those little things to soak. But also the elementals get charged up and they get a lot more energy and they have to be prioritized down a lot more. But it is a pretty straightforward encounter. One thing you guys will have to do is just organize your cooldowns, that kind of stuff. Based on, when you want your damage reduction cooldowns or your HPS cooldowns, things like that. Gateways are going to be really helpful. Speed boosts are really helpful, and then assigning where you are soaking those embers. Because again, the goal is to have as few embers as possible, which means stop your F and DPS and go soak embers. Do any of the abilities overlap? Not so much. The closest overlap you'll get is like an Orb of Destruction and I don't even think it overlapped there. An Orb of Destruction, which is the big one you have to run back, as well as a fell beam, right? Which just means we'll run to the other side. If you have, if you leave the, let's go back here a couple seconds. If you Yeah, the slams. Yeah, slams and the circle doesn't overlap, so it is pretty staggered in terms of damage. Pretty easy to heal. If you leave the embers up too long, well, you might be contending with embers and dodging and orbs of destruction. So again, by eliminating embers, the fight is that much easier. Like, it is a super, super easy fight. FR didn't hit him. Oh, Demon Hunter stuff. Yeah, and like Roshi says, the only overlaps that happen are when elementals are up. And yeah, we had plenty of attempts where we actually destroyed the bridge on purpose to see, you know, the different damage that would happen. But yeah, and that's what's left of the bridge now, right? And then this chunk of the bridge, like the purple and orange section, gets broken off, and then you're pretty much screwed at the end there, because it will break the entire bridge, and then you definitely die. That is the final Berserk section. Any questions with this one? Could rogues tank that mechanic possibly with feint? Potentially. I don't think we tested it. I'm not sure how immunities handle it as well. So if a Tally bubbled, we'd have to ask Tally or check my notes on my guild page whether immunities worked for soaking it. Because later on, you know, if a tank dies, well, somebody has to soak it, right? Because the damage itself from Krosus, whoops, where is it? So Krosus, where are you, mister? His slam. So it does, you know, 5 million damage to the entire raid on heroic. You don't have that kind of HP. So either your entire raid dies, or let's say your tank is dead. Well, what do? Sacrifice yourself. Communicate, hey, Sparty's going to sacrifice himself either with a bubble or just, you know, and die, rather than the entire raid wiping. I mean, your tank shouldn't die. The tank damage was not that difficult here. Yeah, and obviously you need somebody in melee range or else he does this, but again, I didn't really cover that because it's not that important. Can you bring someone out of the water? I don't know. We might have tried. I think we tried and it did work. I can't recall. And yeah, Searing Brand is it's a super easy mechanic, just a tank swap. But again, it's great. It's a great encounter that is pretty easy with strict timers. So get the embers, DPS boss, super easy, go collect loot. We'll see what kind of tuning it does though. It has though, right? So if the tuning is super difficult, again, right, you might need more traits or more gear to defeat it, but same thing I said earlier, the only encounter in Nighthold that is tuned to 54 traits is Mythic Gul'dan. So all you, you know, all your heroic raiders, your early mythic raiders, that kind of stuff, the average mythic guild, you don't necessarily need 54 traits to defeat these bosses, and obviously gear helps, but it's just going to help you a lot more on these heroic and mythic encounters. All right, any other questions about Krosus? Well, I swear to God, that is a great question. Devs, why can't we loot more? Like, why can't more than one person go in a chest at the same time? It aggravates our raid leads and our loot masters and everybody else. So, yeah. All right.